So, there's still tension in this game. Nothing has been decided. I mean, but basically, it seems equal. That's the point, right? Like now, both sides, basically, it's been good for Prague that the G pawn got traded for the F pawn. We should say that because, he traded off a more centralized pawn. Now both sides have this isolated pawn. This knight is pretty good. I mean, White's rooks have always been quite good. So it's balanced.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So rook a6 is on the board, trying to prepare for this rook g1 idea. And now it's time for black letter to move around with the knight. But yeah, I like to put this bishop on d1 actually.
Yeah, how do we improve the black knights? Like, how do we improve this knight? It's not easy. Like, putting him there, I mean, he was just there, so it doesn't do anything. You can't, going there, trading for the white knight? What do you think? Or is there going to be too many problems on the d file to do that?
You might be able to do that, but yes, I think if you exchange the knight with the other knight, it will be better for black. So yeah, I think black can totally do that. Knight d6. If you play rook d1, just take.
D1, you
take.
take.
But there's bishop b3.
Yeah, and also like my rook just seems very active.
Bishop b3.
I don't know. I mean, that's the question for me. It's a big question. Is like what black is doing with these knights. They're not so bad, but like, you want to try to make progress with them. The other big question for me, like, is this still an idea? Should we get rid of this knight so we can finally move this rook? Well, that's another big one. So right now, Prague is on the move. He's been thinking for over a minute.
Yeah.
He's under 2 minutes now.
Yeah, he's under 2 minutes. So this is already
dangerous situation to be in against Carlsen, giving up that more than 1 minute advantage.
Right. But also the position is not easy, so that's why.
It's a tricky position for both sides, absolutely.
So he
rook
put
d2. Okay. So he gets off the g pawn and starts to target the knight. Very logical.
Rook f6.
And Magnus, and it's amazing how fast he is, right? Like, how did he see this move so quickly? Okay, I mean, there's lots of things that you could do, but he just activates the rook and basically challenges, uses the tempo on this rook. That was instant. But I guess he was thinking. Yeah, he was thinking during Prague's time.
I mean, also rook d2 is kind of natural. You just want to keep attacking some of the pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, this game... Okay, make a prediction.
Make a prediction? I don't know. I'm going to predict a draw. That's a safe prediction.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, like when you get down to a minute, absolutely anything can happen. So I want our viewers to understand that like the time situation that Prague is in is unpleasant. Magnus having 3 minutes against less than 1 minute. I mean, okay. I mean, Magnus can also win, but right now he's not winning on the board. But actually, maybe Magnus winning is not a bad prediction either, just because of the time situation.
Yeah, so, well, the position is still equal, but judging from the time situation, Magnus is in a very good favor.
Yeah, no, he seems to have like transitioned to this blitz mode pretty easily, but right now his position is balanced. Does he really have much to work with here? Not really. I mean, White doesn't really have any big problems, right? I guess, we might want to put that pawn up to a5. White has control over the d file. You can't really move this knight. Can't really move this knight anywhere. So everything is under control in the position.
Yep.
So I say, okay, I mean, objectively, like a draw is the result that we're going to see. And Prague's 10-second increment should be enough for him to hold this, right?
Yeah.
Hold this balanced.
I think so too, yeah. It will be very hard to reroute these two knights because the knight on c4 is standing very strongly.
Yeah.
I think that's the beast.
Should we just try b5? I mean, I'm thinking b5. Okay, Carlsen went here, but b5, maybe this was a problem. Then
and then a5.
Yeah, and then you get to have a pass pawn. Okay. Carlsen went knight, king f8. Very kind of interesting move, trying to bring the king to protect these important squares on the d file. Yeah, that's a nice looking move. What's Prague going to do here?
Yeah, very solid and principled as well. You just want to bring your king in the end game.
It's quite smart, yes. Okay, so maybe Prague will go knight b6, and then Magnus maybe is going to go for the trade. But
king g2.
King g2, yeah. No, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like, when I see moves like king f8, king e7, I'm starting to see Magnus's concept here and like how things could be a little bit unpleasant. But a5 is a good move.
A5 is a good move.
Yeah.
And I mean, so far, white has a better position on the queen side. So maybe, Prague is just using that fact. So rook h1, trying to tie down the king to its
the
position.
king here is excellent, right? Like these squares are guarded. Black has hopes of finally using these knights, finally, one day, right?
Yeah.
That can actually move. I mean, okay, we can see that this is unpleasant. Prague is under 20 seconds.
Yeah. Prague has to play faster now.
I think Magnus has just transitioned way better to like the fact that this is going down to blitz. You know, because you see how he just speeded up, right? And he continues to play fast, and he's just kind of, you know, seizing the initiative here, right? Like right now, exactly. The knight came in. Now there's a fork threatened, and king
king has to
g1.
move again. Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it's because black has a clear idea on what to do in this position compared to whites. And yeah, we see it now. It's gonna be very, very like in the blitz mode, like
Okay, Prague's rook is under attack. He has to move it away. He moved to d2, rook h3. Like, look how fast Magnus is playing his moves. He just doesn't even want to give him a chance to breathe, actually. That's what I mean. Like, he could take a bit of time on these moves. I guess this one is fairly obvious. He wants to kind of use the third rank, maybe have ideas of rook c3. a6, what is that? Why is he doing that? Why did he just do that?
Did he just give up the pawn?
He did. He just gave up a pawn, and I'm not sure why. I have no idea why that move just happened. Okay, because he wants to get this pawn. But the thing is, like, first of all,
there's rook c3.
There's rook c3. That's one idea. And also in this position, there's also ideas of even the knight coming in with all those fork threats. So I don't know.
No, this is too loose. I mean, like, it's not a position when you're sacrificing a pawn, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Magnus went for knight g5 was stronger, but Magnus went for this. Knight a5, and now knight g5. Yep, played instantly. Now the knights are coming in. Look at those beautiful knights.
Wow.
Look at that attack coming in.
Right, and the king is in the meta net. Yeah.
He was merciless in this part. Did you feel that?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you feel like how he just went on the attack and he started playing so confidently. He knew he had to use Prague's clock against him. All right. So now, what do we do? Black is still up a pawn. I mean, I don't know. This is obviously still a nice advantage for him, but maybe it's not the most, I mean, it's incisive. He might want to take a little bit of time here.
Yeah, I think he would like
this
to,
is still
to
a
keep
good,
the
very
rook on the
good
board.
move, right? Like this is still, I mean, chances to win, I guess, are pretty good here. I mean, he's just up a pawn. You'd think that he has like excellent chances to win this position. Yeah, but he went for something more incisive.
Yeah, I think he would like to keep the rook on the board.
Yeah, he went for knight g to h3. Is he going on the attack? So we probably have to go here.
King f1, rook f3.
Yeah, are there checkmate threats like on the back rank? There kind of are, aren't there?
Yeah, yeah.
There's like rook a3, rook
yeah.
a3, and there's a checkmate threat with rook a4. And also, this is incredibly a back rank checkmate.
Yeah, it is.
It is, because the king is completely limited by the knights. Oh, man.
Wow, and Prague just doesn't have time to think about everything.
Yeah, that's checkmate on the back.
So
oh, that's a check. No, hold on. He took with a knight.
It's a check.
King
f6,
King f6.
and
Wow.
that's it. Wow, so Magnus won the first game, and in a completely equal position. And
but that was so good.
That was
so good.
very
You have to
instructive,
appreciate, you know, when you see this live, it's such a different experience from just watching, downloading the game afterwards and seeing the moves, right? Because you see, like it feels like it was easy, but it wasn't that easy. There were so many masterful things that he had to do to win this end game.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Prague has every reason to think longer, because the position itself is not easy for white, even though white had a better position out of the opening. But Magnus Carlsen just, with his masterclass, neutralizing all the attack and won
I got
such
such a good feeling about his position when I saw King f8, King e7.
Yep.
It's just like, if you can think of these moves so quickly and so, like it comes easily to him, when you see that, you start to feel like, okay, he's like, the maestro is taking over.
Right. Wow. Okay. I mean, that was very, very dramatic, I would say. And I hope Praggnanandhaa will be able to make a comeback on the second round. And while players are taking their break right now, we will also take our break. So see you again at the second game in a few minutes.
Azərbaycanın təbiətindən, Naxçıvanın torpağından süzülərək gələn təbii suyun sirri, Sirab.
Her damlasında hayat var.
FIDE World Rapid Team Championship 2023 inaugural edition is hosted by Düsseldorf, Germany, August 25th to August 28th, 2023. Brand new format. Star lineup featuring world champions Vishwanathan Anand, Vladimir Kramnik, Hu Yifan, Alexandra Kostyuk, world number 5 Jan Nepomniachtchi, world number 8 Wesley So, world number 10 Richard Rapport, and many others. Record prize fund of 250,000 euros. Don't miss it. Watch unique event visiting Rheinterrasse Düsseldorf or live on FIDE YouTube.
So I'm joined by 8 times national champion Irina Krush, Grandmaster. Welcome, Irina. Thanks for taking the time to come here and talk to us. So you played here in the World Cup, the first 3 rounds, but on the 3rd round you were defeated by Polina Shuvalova. Tell us about your adventure here as a player.
Yeah, well, I got knocked out in round 3. I played one bad game with the white pieces, and then it was over, right? So there was no chance for a comeback. It was just kind of a sudden end, and then I had to get ready for my role as commentator.
What's your best qualification in a World Cup?
Wow, I mean, you know, I feel, well, it used to be a little bit different because you used to start from round 1, right? So you had to kind of go through a few of them. I feel like probably round 3 is where I usually would lose my matches, actually. So, you know, I haven't gone very far in World Cups before.
So Polina, of course, is a very strong player. What do you think you could do better for the next World Cup? How do you think you could prepare differently, or is there any strategy you've thought about?
Yeah, well, definitely just, I think, being more of a professional, really just coming back to chess and studying chess more seriously, having your openings better prepared. I mean, I could definitely feel looking at her games that I'm looking at the games of someone who spends a lot of time on chess, you know, knows her stuff quite deeply, can do a lot of different things, is theoretically well prepared. So at least that would be a start, you know, getting my preparation to that level.
So after being eliminated, you went into the commentary booth. You already did a very good, very successful commentary in Astana in the World Championship. Here you've been doing commentary for nearly 3 weeks already. What are the challenges you faced here? How's it going? Any interesting anecdotes? How's it been like?
Yeah, well, it's been great. I mean, I definitely really enjoy working with Irene, and we're having a lot of fun. We don't have any particular challenges. I mean, my only challenge getting here on time, you know, making sure I can order my taxi and that I can find it when it comes. You know, what other challenges during the commentary? The eval bar not working, so, you know, it just stays flat, you know, and then we have to realize that and be like, okay, we're working without an eval bar. That's happened at some point earlier. Last days it's been better. But yeah, no, everything's been going pretty smoothly.
Okay. So the eval bar is normally working, but you don't have the engines turned on. That's my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, for most of the analysis during these few weeks, we haven't had any engine bar, but now we actually see one line of the engine, you know, so I have to admit that that's very helpful.
For me, at least, sometimes it's good to see it there, just to get some idea in a position where you're not, it's a bit stale and you don't know what's happening.
Seeing even one line of the engine bar, you know, it gives you some ideas that you can at least start discussing, right, before you kind of start thinking on your own as well.
So you were telling me before that you're traveling to India after this tournament. As a chess professional, you're jetting all over the world. Tell me about the tournament you're going to play.
Yeah, it's the Tata Steel Rapid and Blitz for women. So it's going to start at the end of August, and it's my first time playing that particular event.
And my final question, so are you planning to do a chess career as a commentator, as a coach? I see you have a YouTube channel as well. Yeah. When you finally decide to hang your gloves, using a boxing expression.
Well, the funny thing is I have to clarify, I'm not exactly like a chess professional. So, playing tournaments, even though you've seen me around a lot this year, is not actually like the main way I make my living. So even though I'm kind of considering, doing it more, coming back to it, more now. But yeah, so the question is like, when I retire from chess, you can say this, in partly it's already happened, right? And I am doing a lot of different things, a lot of coaching, some of this commentary stuff. Would I try to develop a career as a commentator? I think it's not something that I would try to develop, like it either just happens or doesn't, right? I enjoy it. I mean, obviously I love sitting here, being at the center of the chess action, getting to witness all the most important moments happening in the chess world and working with great people. And if I get a chance to do more of that in the future, I think I'll be happy.
Irina Krush, not only a fabulous chess grandmaster, but very successful as a commentator. I, for one, enjoy a lot your commentating. Without the engine, a very refreshing view on the best games in the world. This afternoon, all the attention was on the first game between Magnus Carlsen and Praggnanandhaa. Playing with white, the Indian surprised his opponent with the English opening. Slightly under the weather due to food poisoning, Magnus took his time to find the best defense, finally equalizing comfortably. He will enjoy the white pieces tomorrow in the second game. In the fight for the bronze medal, local hero Nijat Avaso defeated Fabiano Caruana with a crushing kingside attack, taking advantage of a massive blunder by the American. He will have to regroup fast to try and tie the match tomorrow in the second game of the final. I'm joined by Magnus Carlsen. The second game of the match has finished in a draw, and we're going to ask him his thoughts. Magnus, first of all, are you feeling better than yesterday?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit better. Very grateful to the organizers and FIDA and to the doctors and nurses as well yesterday, who got me some good treatment. So today I'm feeling a bit better, but I still didn't feel like I had the energy for a full fight. So I thought, let's get one more day of rest, and hopefully I'll have more strength tomorrow.
That's good to hear. So this means tomorrow you'll have to fight for the title in the tiebreak. What do you expect for the match?
Yeah, he's already played a lot of tie breaks against very strong players, and I've played him a bunch in Rapid before, so I know he's very strong. But if I have some energy, if I have a good day, then obviously I have good chances.
Good luck. Thanks a lot.
Welcome back, everyone. And before we start the second game of the tiebreak, Rapid 25 plus 10, we will take a look quickly at the game between Praggnanandhaa versus Magnus Carlsen. So Irina wants to analyze a little bit, and probably we also see the second game that is between Abasov versus Fabiano.
Yeah, well, we just saw a really exciting end to that game. Basically, a very tense game throughout that got decided, I think, basically due to Prague's time trouble.
Right.
And also Magnus's endgame skills and his ability to put his pieces on the right squares. Right. So, but let's see how things went downhill. I mean, you know, the thing about this game is that Magnus, once he saw that Prague was getting low on time, he just kept speeding up. Right. He kept putting the pressure on him, and he used that advantage rather unmercilessly.
Right. I mean, that's the thing when you're playing in the shorter time control, right? You're not only playing chess, but you're also playing against the time situation. And Magnus is a very experienced player in both Rapid and Blitz, and even in Classical as well, yeah? Okay, so let's see after this rook e6.
Okay, let's go here. Like the first quite nice move that Magnus threw in was this intermediate move, rook f6, that allowed him to improve his rook without actually having to protect his knight. So basically, white has a choice here. I think he chose to capture, but that actually improved the knight. So, I mean, you could go, I guess you could go knight f6 right away, but then you can see the difference that you have this rook, which is just kind of unnecessary and passive, still on the board. So rook f6 was a nice inclusion. Perhaps, you know, white needed to do something different here than trade. I don't know, maybe he should have avoided the rook trade, maybe gone here. But of course, you know, then the knight is able to come into c5, and it's still a game. Or maybe he needed to kind of come out with the king to protect the rook. It's also possible. But he traded. Okay, so that was accomplished by black. He got rid of the rook. Then white played b4. It seems quite reasonable. Not a forced move, but basically it didn't seem like a bad decision at all. And this was where I started to really kind of like what he was doing, because he started playing moves that were not that obvious to me. And also it was just the speed at which he was doing it, right? Just like king f8. Yeah, the king finds the square in the center to control the infiltration squares on the d file. Very helpful. As soon as you see that, you're like, oh, that's a classy move, yeah?
Yeah, but I think it's also because Magnus is playing with a concept. So as long as you get a concept, it's the moves will come very easily. But on the other hand, Praggnanandhaa didn't really have any plan to do here.
Well, I mean, maybe white should have gone in for this. I mean, is there a point maybe even trading these knights? Because at some point those knights started hopping around a lot. Like, I don't even know what exactly would Magnus do here. Like, what would his judgment tell him? Keep the rooks on the board, keep the rook, offer up the rook trade, right? Like, for me, I mean, I wouldn't be able to make this decision in a split second. Like, what do you think? What does your intuition tell you?
Probably just trade the rook, but yeah, it's just hard
trade the rook would probably be what I would be thinking, but then white is absolutely fine, right? Exactly, right? So I'm just saying, okay, these were some key moments in the game. I think Prague maybe should have tried something a little bit more forcing. He went king g2, this king arrived, this pawn move seemed fine because, okay, it's just a good square for the pawn. And then Magnus, like, instantly finds that open file. Okay, now it's like we're not getting the trades of pieces so easily, right? So the eval bar is keeping this balance, but now, like, exactly what is the plan for white? Not so clear, right? Because this pawn is weak. This rook is, like, coming in. These knights are coming in. And it starts to feel, at least on a practical level, actually quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
Within just a few moves. You know, like white not even really making a mistake. So he goes here. And then this starts to get like already really unpleasant as he realizes like there's a fort coming. So the knight improves. Now the rook came in. I mean, yeah, like it was just relentless.
Yeah, and all the moves are quite natural. And I think we can quickly wrap this up because the second game is about to start.
Oh, yeah. All right. Wow.
And yeah, 15 seconds left to the first move. And this could be it. If Praggnanandhaa cannot win the second game and force the match into another tiebreak, then this could be it. And also the same thing with the game between Fabiano versus
E4.
Nijat.
He's going to play E4. Watch it. Yes. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I had to say that because the reason he's doing this is because he's going to play C3. That's it. I'm sorry. I had to bring this out there because I had some idea, which is that, you know, he was in the exact same situation against Gukesh,
Yeah, and he did the same thing too.
And he did the same thing, and I think overall that strategy worked just fine for him in that game, even though like it sort of he later on kind of outplayed himself. But his opening strategy worked out great. So it makes sense that he just stuck with it.
Yep, I think it is a very wise opening choice as well, especially if you play e4. If you want to play for a win, I think Magnus already knows that Prague will go with the Sicilian. And then c3 is obviously a very safe choice against it.
Yes, and by the way, Gukesh against him, I think, played with d5, and Prague goes for knight f6, which he also did against Arjun. So Prague has, he's going to this opening for the second time in this tournament in a must-win situation. It worked against Arjun, but let's see how it works against Magnus. So bishop c4, knight b6, and bishop b3. Yes. Now, the d5, I remember, is the main line with e takes, queen takes, and I think castles, bishop e6, and all of that stuff. It's very dangerous to take this pawn. Right, because I guess white just has a ton of compensation for the pawn. They have better development, more space. So normally black is playing d5 here. I guess he can play d6. It could be the same thing.
Yeah, I think it will end up with ed and queen d, and then that's the main line. But I think maybe Praggnanandhaa is going to come up with something else because, he has a very wide repertoire, so maybe he'll try g6. Oh no, d6 he did.
d6, yeah.
And
this is
takes,
different. And
queen
there is the move e6 here. I just want to point out that, queen d6 is sort of it's the main move, but I'm pretty sure this exists. Like these types of ideas where you try to take with the bishop and you go into the isolated pawn position. But he went for queen d6. And castles is on the board, and now generally we're seeing bishop e6 to neutralize this bishop.
Right. Wow, so let's see. We had 2 decisive results in the first game and 2 must-win situation. Nijat Abbasov and Praggnanandhaa needs to win the second game.
And they both need to win with black.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a tall order.
Right.
All right, so Magnus has castled. And let's see what other moves than bishop e6 can Prague come up with here. It's played 84% of the time. But let's take a look at this opening. So we got Fabi as white going for the Rosalimo, and Nijat again playing e6. This time Fabi, he hasn't played the Rosalimo against Nijat before.
In the first game, yeah.
It was like Carlsen. This was
Carlsen,
against Carlsen and Vidit.
And Vidit.
All right, so he goes to this, and instead of white capturing here early and playing for these b3 systems, Fabiano just castles, knight e7, rook e1, a6, back, d5. It's funny because it looks a little bit like a c3 Sicilian, except there's no white pawn here, right? Knight f6 and bishop e3 is on the board. Okay, well, it's very solid for white, and he's encouraging a bunch of trades to happen on that square. Solid structure, small imbalance in the pawn structure with the pawn majorities being on different sides of the board, but basically when you need to make a draw with white, this is certainly a good strategy.
Right, so yeah, I think it's both players, Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano, they're just 2 experienced players, and they know exactly what type of situation they're in, whether they have to play for a draw or they have to win. And their opening choices show it a lot.
Right, so Nijat lashes out with knight f6, knight g4, but probably this bishop is just going to move away. And this is definitely a risky move for black, right? Moving the same knight in the opening twice.
Yeah, so it just wants to take the bishop, and what does it do again? What if you play d5, for example? Can it be moved?
D5 is interesting. But d5, you know what the problem is? It might be that I'm taking.
And rook takes.
But then you take with the rook, and then My knight has to move somewhere.
If knight e7 or b4, I can play knight c3.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting, d5, yeah?
But Fabi didn't play
Yeah,
it.
he didn't play it. He moved his
Yeah.
bishop away. But definitely an interesting move. All right, he just went bishop g5. I think bishop e7 was played.
f6.
F6 was played, okay. And where's this bishop going to go? Ah, it's not going to go anywhere. d5.
Bishop f4.
Oh, bishop f4. d5 was actually a powerful option as well. Now, the point here is that, well, if you take with the knight, then you lose that knight in the end.
And if you take with the pawn, I think just...
You can take with the pawn. It's actually a little strange that Fabi, but then h3, right? Maybe he's trying to play against this knight.
Oh, you still can take on d4 and then take on... But it's a bit risky because there's e5 too.
Yeah, you mean like there, but yeah, then the queen would take, and then there's that, yeah. So I think he's going to go h3 here. Meanwhile, should we take a little look at Magnus's board? Okay. We've had some events here, and the first big one was that Pragg did not go for the main line with bishop e6. He went for bishop f5. I mean, we're kind of waiting to see where he would deviate because he needs to, right? Try to get off the beaten track and get a game out of this. And after bishop takes, knight takes d4. So we're going for an isolated pawn position, but we traded off a pair of knights. Pawn takes, and e6 on the board. So this is not the first time in this tournament Magnus has had an isolated pawn position. He also had one against Gukesh, where at some point it sort of started working against him. So e6 and knight c3, bishop e7.
And now, yeah, Magnus is still thinking. And he's
Queen
ahead
f3.
in clock. So
Yes.
queen f3, and then pretty much I think just develop the bishop on c1.
Yeah. This has been played in some games of good players, this whole position. Pierre Rune Robson, there's an older game, Lautier versus Polgar in 1993, Rosenthal's Bolagon. So this is not like some new position. And queen f3 is the most popular move, like by far. So what do black players usually do here? They either castle or they try to defend this pawn. So if they castle,
Do you take the pawn?
could take the pawn, or we just play d5, which is actually what he's going to do. I actually have no doubt that Magnus is going to play that move.
d5, yeah?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? In a situation where you need a draw, you can play that and then just trade off everything, and it's going to be a draw. So actually, this is super solid. By the way, I have to say this is an example of, again, smart preparation, right? Like, because he can start with any first move, right? He starts with e4 because it's like the most forcing castles is on the board. So is my prediction right? Is he going to play this move? We'll
I think
see.
so too, yeah. Yeah, d5 will just offer many trades there.
Yeah.
A lot of pieces going to be traded. And he did, yes.
Yeah, it's too, like, even if this move was better, objectively, you still wouldn't
You
play
still
it.
play d5,
You would
yeah.
still play d5, yeah. So yeah, so what I was saying about like smart preparation in terms of like choosing the right first move, you know, he narrows his opponent's options. He kind of pushes him into the Sicilian,
Yep.
right? Because you can sort of predict he'll go for it again. And then he has this c3 Sicilian weapon, which is also kind of narrowing the options. And he goes for these kinds of positions which are very solid, right? So really like not giving his opponent a chance
To mud the water.
yeah, exactly. Good expression, to muddy the water. Yeah, it's quite smart.
Yep, but also it's an advantage of being a very universal player.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
I mean, I'd like to have such a smart preparation as well.
Yeah, but you have to know how to
But I
play
have to
all
know,
these types
yeah.
of positions, know all the
Exactly.
theory. Yeah, of course, it's not
Exactly.
easy. It's
It's
like
not.
it's like you're able to be smart because of your amount of chess knowledge.
Yes.
yes, you're able to move around when you need to. Yeah.
So d5 is on the board, and it's posing some problem for Praggnanandhaa because, well, if he's not in a must-win situation, the position is totally fine.
Yeah.
But he needs to avoid some trades. But if he's avoiding it, white will just stand better.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have moves like queen d7 is the most popular, bishop f6. But the thing is, like, we're just going to be taking here, right?
Yep.
I mean, okay, you can throw in some other moves, maybe rook d1, bishop f4 could be an idea, but then there's maybe like e5.
Oh, and I think you can just pull back. Yeah.
Pull back.
And then rook e1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
fine.
If you're trying to
Yeah.
avoid it, it's
So this game is likely to be less exciting than the first one.
well, yeah, you're right. But I think Praggnanandhaa will try to force the matters. So we will see. He's known for being a very creative player.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he will come up with something up on his sleeve. And yeah, he's thinking right now. So we might expect, like some sacrifice or something like that on the board.
Like sacrificing this bishop. Yeah, let's sacrifice it. Yeah, no, I mean, okay, it's hard. He's got his work cut out for him in terms of trying to keep this complicated. Because again, it's like White can probably try to play this position for an advantage, but certainly like just to make a draw like shouldn't be that hard. I mean, like we saw that when he needs to, like yesterday when he wanted to, he played for a draw quite easily as White and kind of took on a very, uninspiring endgame and still made that draw, right, without any problems. So, yeah, we'll see what Pragg is going to come up with now, but certainly the way Magnus has steered this game is unpleasant.
Right.
It's very unpleasant to be in this position when you're like in a must-win situation.
Yep. Also, in a must-win situation is Abbasov, which
Yeah.
is currently worse against Fabiano.
Okay, so he did attack the knight that had wandered in to g4. He sent the knight to h6. Then he captured it, so black's pawn structure is a bit messy. And then he went knight d2. So his plan is simple. He wants to go knight b3 and take the pawn.
Yeah, and using the fact that the king is still in the center is going to be very weak, yeah? Yeah, I like this idea. You just knight b3 and you just develop this bishop somehow using the diagonal. It would be a dream if you can put the bishop or the queen on h5.
Yeah, that's definitely the big square. So he has to go bishop. Did he go bishop c5? No, he didn't. He went for something else. I was thinking he'd go for bishop c5 to protect the pawn. He went for b5. Okay. Oh, I guess I don't even understand that move that well. I mean, I guess he has hopes of putting the bishop there, but first he needs to make sure he doesn't hang the pawn. So a4 was just instant by Fabi.
Very thematic.
Yeah. Interesting how that was instant to him. Like, for me, it would not be so obvious. Like, I would think, like, why not knight b3? So, like, this is where I would spend my time, right? For him, it's just like a second. It would be interesting to ask him, like, how do you know, like, within a second that this is a better move than knight b3?
I think you still preserve the idea of knight b3, while at the same time you have this free file for the rook and could be useful around the 7th rank later.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so after a4,
Rook b8
was played. No, of course, now it's nice because he also, this is a weak pawn now as well. So now just knight b3. Wow. So poor Nijat, like in a lost position, in a must-win situation.
Yeah, but I like what he's doing. He's trying to, keep the pair of bishops. It's a quite imbalanced. Look at the pawn structure. It's very unusual.
Yeah.
So something like this, if your opponent is unfamiliar, it could confuse him.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, you're right. Like if you can hide the king here, get the bishop on the long diagonal, get the rook to the open file. I mean, there are scenarios where...
There are scenarios,
Yeah, there are scenarios. Like, I mean, White has to be a little bit careless to let all of that happen. But, I mean, of course, there is some potential for Black's pieces, so...
So the position is better for Fabi, but it's
Yeah.
still quite wild. So let's see if there's any development in the Magnus's game.
There is. All right. So what did Pragg come up with? He went bishop g6, which I think is not actually even... a very popular move in this position. Like, it's barely been played. Let's see if there's been any top players going for this. I see just one game. I think Raja Harshit did this in 2017. All right, so he played bishop g6. A bit surprising.
Yeah, I think Praggnanandhaa just wants to keep all the pieces on the board.
Well, yeah, but like, look what happens now. Now he gets a weak, isolated pawn. man, Magnus is just steering this game like exactly in the direction he wants. So he goes queen e2, pawns under attack.
King h8, queen takes.
King h8, he gave up the pawn. Then there was a queen trade and bishop c5. And wow, yeah, no, this is going to be just, I mean, he's not even letting him get into the game. I mean, he's like, okay.
I give you my pawn back.
Yeah, I give you the pawn back. Like, he's not even interested, like, I mean, in trying to keep this extra pawn. He's like, I mean, obviously there are tactics. So Prague does have compensation, but just bishop e3, and it's like, you got to trade pieces. They made a trade.
Or maybe it cannot be taken back, you know, because after takes, how are you going to take this pawn back?
How are you even getting this pawn back?
Because there's
Maybe
bishop
rook
f7.
f8.
Bishop f7 is always there. But you...
Yep, I go with this rook. Don't I get it back? Or do you get your rook to the 7th?
Oh, you mean you want to take my bishop first or not?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking the bishop and going right here.
Okay, but then rook b7, right?
Like this?
Yeah, just bishop f7.
Well, you know, I have knight c4, so I take.
Okay, then it's a good thing. Like,
I mean, sure, white is not having any trouble here. White is the first one on the 7th rank. But, you know, I don't know. Yeah, white's better. If you move there, then I just take your pawn, right? So black has to defend the pawn, and then I guess try to play knight c4.
And I'll play rook d1 and get the 7 rank.
Yeah.
Yeah, so white is just definitely better here.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tall order. But again, you know, I really think that, like, you know, making these correct choices, knowing what kind of, being able to go for these positions that are just unpleasant for the opponent, that's definitely a skill in itself. Right? Like, it might not look very exciting to us, right? Like, and Carlsen's obviously not trying to make this game exciting. He doesn't need any excitement in this game. But just imagine, like, remember what we talked about when you're in a situation where you need a draw, you want to kind of make your opponent forget that they're trying to play for a win. That's the situation that Prague is in now. Like, you can see it, like, you know it. It's just completely obvious that even Prague is looking at this and is like, yeah, I can't really win this.
You can see it from his body language, yeah?
Yeah, what did he do in terms, he went for rook e8, right?
So,
and you know what's Magnus? Magnus just went back with the bishop to b3. He didn't even try bishop f7, which is a little surprising. Okay, but his move is fine because he just controls the knight, right? He's just trading and trading everything, and yeah. You know, making a chess game not be exciting when you don't need it to be exciting is still a skill. Yes.
Yep. And Magnus is doing it. I mean, so far he's been like the director of their match, because on the first and second game of their classical matches, Magnus didn't into it at all, right? And then he just felt like, okay, I just want to make a quick draw, and quick draws they were. Yes. And now he's finally had his time to make extra rest. Yep. And now he's coming back on the tiebreak, and just like totally a director. Like he.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, for sure. I mean, he has set the tone for their match. You know, Prague had his chance to play that first game where he was white. I mean, he played, he did what he could. Magnus had to defend a bit. He did that, you know, and then, well, you know, again, when Prague is white, I mean, he's trying to play. He had his chances today, too. He certainly did his best to create a game in that first rapid game.
Yep.
But Magnus just, like, you know, managed to neutralize it, you know, and using his experience, his defensive skills, everything, and then kind of being relentless in that end game that he's known for.
Oh,
wow.
And he took the draw. And congratulations to Magnus Carlsen, our FIDE World Cup's winner.
Wow, yeah, this is such a good match. You have to say, he just got the job done, but he also produced a show for the chess world in that first game.
Right, yeah. Well, on the first game, Praggnanandhaa had all the chances indeed, but Magnus Carlsen, with his experiences, just taking down the match like this, Well, I think it was also a very good moment for Praggnanandhaa, because, man, to be the youngest finalist in the World Cup ever.
Yeah, I mean, this match doesn't take anything away from his incredible achievement in this tournament.
It's only adding up.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel like he's got to look at this experience as actually a very good learning experience, because Magnus already showed a few good lessons first of all, the importance of the time management. Magnus has spoken about that before, right? He's spoken about how he likes to punish people who don't manage their time well.
Right.
And sometimes Prague has been getting kind of low on time in these tournaments, and he survived against other people. But, Magnus showed him that it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But no, this World Cup has shown like a lot of incredible fights, among the youngsters. And Praggnanandhaa is just the symbol of everything, because I like his fighting spirit.
Yes.
I like his demeanor. I like everything what he did. Like, also the fact that he's bringing his mom here as a, like a moral support. You know? Like, man, he's just going to have like a very bright future.
Yeah,
And,
no, I absolutely. Actually, I don't feel like he did a lot wrong in this match.
No.
That's the thing. It wasn't like he lacked fighting spirit
No.
or character or motivation or anything. Sometimes, like I said, it's a question, right? If you know that your opponent is like sick, should you just try harder to be, to create a game at the board? I mean, I know it's not the thing to do with top level chess, go all out with the black pieces, right? It's not really, but like in a way, you have to use all the advantages you have. So if you have that kind of merciless spirit, perhaps he should have like tried more with black and actually not went for the, for e5 and the 4 knights. But again, you actually have to know that Carlsen is planning to make a draw. You have to know, whether he's feeling okay or not, right? So
Yep.
those are not obvious things at all, right? I'm just trying to see where were the mistakes in the match, right? Or where he could have done a little bit better. I mean, today's game, all I can say is really like time management. Other than that, I think on the board he did what he could.
Yeah. The last mistake that Praggnanandhaa did, especially on the first rapid game, it was just because of his time situation. If he has enough time on the clock, I'm sure he would be able to hold the draw comfortably. But yes, this is the thing with the rapid tiebreak, right? Shorter time control, and you got to play faster. You have to manage your time even better. And Magnus is just so experienced.
He's so experienced. And okay, he comes out with a Sicilian, right? Again, it's like maybe it's not the best choice given that Magnus has already shown what he's going to do against the Sicilian in that situation. Magnus has given away that piece of information by playing c3 against Gukesh. But again, it's like, maybe Prague hasn't prepared for this scenario where he loses with white. Or maybe he doesn't, know what else he can do in this situation where he needs to win with black against someone like Magnus, right? So it's like also, an experience thing that it just takes time to acquire, right? It's not like Magnus became like this overnight, right?
Yep.
He's been the world's #1 for like the last 14 years or so.
Yep. But anyway, congratulations to both players for showing us a very good chess, very good match, and very instructive ones as well. And let's quickly see this one. This is a must-win situation for Nijat Abbasov, which is currently in the losing position.
I was hoping it's a must-win situation for Fabiano Caruana because he has good chances to get that win. But unfortunately, this is not the situation. It's the other way around, where black needs to win, but okay, he's about to lose the extra piece that he has, right? And by the way, I think this king is feeling a bit cold.
Yeah, totally.
Left out, in the rain. I don't know how else to describe the situation. He needs to he's actually just getting destroyed, isn't he? Like everything is coming
in the center.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Maybe he needs to wrap up this game quickly, so prepare for our next interviews.
Well, I think he will do everything he might, but yeah, this position looks very hopeless. We can see from the e-file bar, it's just going to the roof. And okay, now Fabi has it's not a piece up, but still a very much dominant position.
Yeah, so Nijat trying to keep the D file closed makes a lot of sense. I think we forgot to even mention there's a hanging pawn here. It's even worse than I thought.
Yep.
Because there's that.
And again, a potential of rook a7.
Yeah.
Or you can even throw in knight c5 too if you want.
Yeah, this is really the ugliest position I've seen this whole tournament. I don't know. Do you want to disagree with that, Irene?
I'm trying to recall my memory about all the games here.
Yeah, but this is certainly one of the worst ones, right? You don't see this every day.
So rook a7, rook b7.
Yeah.
Takes.
And I think he's going to go for d5 or something. Maybe he'll close up that bishop. No, he went for knight c5.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, by the way, if you take it, the queen holds the rook, so he's threatening the bishop and the fork. So bishop d5, I guess, is going to be on the board, or I don't know. I would try bishop d5. Yeah. And maybe now it's time to take the pawn. And also there's another little guy here that we can take at some point. And then if I think we take there, we threaten knight d7. So now but then if you take here, maybe there's like king g7. Still, look at this fork concept.
Ooh, that's so nice. Yeah.
That is really nice. And that's actually really nice because you can fork the king whether he's on g7 or f8. And then this bishop has a big problem. Yeah, I think he's actually going for this idea.
Yeah, in this position, I think Fabi is spoiled with so many options. You can even bring the rook to a1 and then back to a7 again. Yeah, you can do many things. Or even, you can even try to promote the b pawn if you want to.
Yeah. So, well, Basav, I guess, in this match has not been able to do so much against the experienced Caruana. And Fabi, despite being very tired, something that he's mentioned a lot, is still able to play really, really convincing chess.
Yeah, but Nijat's run is also already so amazing. And if nothing changes, he will play the candidates next year. I think it should be the lowest rated candidate ever. Do you think?
Yeah, probably. I agree. I mean, unless he gets his rating up, right?
Oh, until the Toronto,
Yeah,
yes.
so I guess like knight here, where's the king going to go? I mean, where can it go? Maybe king g7. Then we have a check, but I guess you run. So what other moves do we have? Oh, we actually have check and fork. Check and fork is maybe the most convincing.
Oh, yeah, and then
That
you
wins
just win a piece. Yeah,
that wins a piece.
yeah.
So the thing is here is like you're focused on the king. We're like looking at this, and I was trying to understand how we're like supposed to mate this king, but doesn't seem to be a direct checkmate. But there is this painful fork.
Exactly. I think just knight b6 and resign.
Okay.
And yeah, I think he's going to go for it. I think we're going to see the end of the game.
Yeah, and Fabi is going to get 100% get his candidate spot. Third place, still a very good tournament. Oh, wait. Oh, the bishop is not on.
Oh, the bishop is on d6.
Yeah, somehow we
So
thought the bishop was on e7.
We can update it.
Yeah, let's update it. So I don't think it changes much.
No,
though,
it
does
doesn't.
I mean,
Knight
you can
b6
still
still.
go here.
And then it's a check, actually.
Yeah, I guess there's bishop here. That's a little difference.
Okay, Fabi took
that's
on
why
h6.
he took, yeah.
Queen g7 is a threat. Queen f6 is a threat. And you cannot really move the rook because h7 is hanging. So
Yeah, this is the big one. This is also a big one. Well, how do you guard all those squares? Bishop c6?
first of all, queen
Yeah, just
g7,
here,
and that's it.
Okay, that's all.
Wow. Congratulations to
Powerful game by
Fabiano
Fabi.
Caruana
Yeah.
for securing the third spot in the FIDE's World Cup and also securing the candidate spot.
So what do you think, Irene, about what we saw today? Are you pleased with like the chess content that we got to see, or were you hoping for more? Because it was over in two rapid games.
This is the I think this is the earliest tiebreak day I've ever had here in the World Cup. So well, I definitely root for more games. So I was actually hoping for those who needed to make a comeback. Did the comeback, but unfortunately they couldn't manage. But I think it's also because this is the end of the event, and all the players are starting to be very, very tired. We could see how Fabiano performed on the first classical match. It was a very poor performance by him, right?
Yeah.
But then he managed to win the second game.
He won 3 games in a row after that.
3 games in a row.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like an awakening result for him against Nijat, that he couldn't, spoil the match even further. But I mean, a lot of histories are written out of this event.
That's true.
In the women's section as well, and in the open section.
Well, it's going to be a very memorable event.
World Cup, yeah.
World Cup, yeah.